I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check. No drip this, wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check. No drip this, wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turned to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me. I'm number one up on that court, I'm Nick McGrady. The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy. Put in my hours, send the invoice and they pay me. I need 6 rings like MJ and Tom Brady. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check. No drip this, wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check. No drip this, wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up. Y'all gon' make me take that trip way out to Europe. I call up Nigeria, come through in a hurry. Those London boys don't come to play, you should get worried. One false move, find yourself, they getting buried. Dance with the devil, used to love playing those games. Made some bad decisions that brought my mama pain. I made a promise to her, swore that I would change. I'm on the come up, bet I live up to my name. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check. No drip this, wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check. No drip this, wet. Tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell 'em run it up.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shady, my bros raw. No breaks, we go, 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 go. Throw shade, that's a no, no, no. Go high, go low, low, low. Like spinning in a 644. Cash money like 504. Ball like AD24. No sleep, need more, more, more. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
Ooh, I'm a real one, my day ones. Try speak up, can't say none. Try dig dirt, there ain't none. I make the money that save up. 10 to 80, my savings. Take to the top from the basement. New car, race on, fast lane. With the booyah, that's a flex. Not human, I ain't from another planet. I'ma teleport, might vanish. I'ma wake up, do damage. Drawing number 7, East Bordeaux. Working all night, need more though. I remember nights I was poor though. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what? Told ya I'ma do me, why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying car to get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told ya I'ma do me, why you hating on me? It's not adding up. Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told ya I'ma do me, why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I hit record a drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming, now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, vintage frames on my face. Looking like I'm from the deep, these no Cartiers. Pockets deep, bro. I can make it in my seat, bro. Do you, I'm doing me, bro. Making noise, use a beat, bro. I press the button and the doors go off like that money clip us now, the new now looks like upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like neighborhood on the scene, neighborhood on the strip, neighborhood be the name, neighborhood no crib, neighborhood that's me, neighborhood that's Nick, neighborhood do the dance, neighborhood do the dip. Okay, thought I'd never make it like no way. I'm the real deal, no role play. My days off, that's no days. No, I hustle hard, young rose. E be the shooter, that's cold case. Those on the deals, that's brose. Got no pay, yo, no say. Okay, this the news, tell them read it. Been the one since the fetus. Don't sleep on me, Tempur-Pedic. That's a no. Spending dope for no reason. Got a ball head, Mr. Cleaner. Heard the big bags overseas, then we gon' go. I press the button and the doors go off like that money clip us now, the new now looks like upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like I press the button and the doors go off like that money clip us now, the new now looks like upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like
All right. Good evening. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of AK on Fire. I am your host, AK, and today we have a good one for you. Today we're going to be talking about the marriage rate decline and examine the role that men play in the low marriage rates. Across America, fewer and fewer people are getting married. People are either choosing to shack up or just remain single. And as a consequence, the marriage rate is taking a nosedive. In fact, for the last 60 years, the marriage rate has been trending in the wrong direction. According to a study done by the National Center of Health and Statistics, by 2018, the number of Americans getting married fell to its lowest level on record since the federal government began keeping records in 1867. Out of every 1,000 people, there were only 6.5 weddings. So what is the reason for this? What's the cause of this? There are several reasons. One being finance, that women feel that they are financially independent and they no longer need men. You have men who feel like they're not ready for marriage yet and tend to prolong marriage. You have an increasing secularism in America. People are not as religious as they used to be. And as a consequence, people have grown more tolerant of things such as like having children out of wedlock, cohabitating, and, abortion, just to name a few things. You have more and more people who are becoming comfortable with being single. And finally, you have a number of men who say they've had enough and are choosing to either move abroad or going over abroad to marry and start a family abroad. So that is going to be what we focus on tonight. That's going to be the focus of our show tonight. We're going to do a deep dive and look at some of the reasons that men are choosing not to marry in America. Let me take a quick look before I bring on the panel. I just want to make sure that we're good with our sound. So let me make sure in the chat, if you can give me a sound check, just give me a 1 in the chat if we're good. Just want to make sure we are good. Sound check. Okay. Okay, so we're good. All right. So I want to introduce the panel from right to left. It's my right hand man, Rico the Plug. To his right is Ray.
Yo.
to his right all the way from the Caribbean. He is an American. I don't know if you want to wouldn't call him a passport bro, but he is a world traveler. He is the mogul, Mr. Mogul, Aaron the Mogul. And finally we have our brother. We've been on a show together on Mr. Let Go's channel. He is Keen Barracuda. Welcome, brothers. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey.
So before I begin, I want let me set this up. I want to take a look at a video. And I want to get your thoughts. Okay. So let's go. Here we go.
Here's a question for you. Is marriage overrated? Marriage rates have been declining since the 70s, and 2021 was the first year that more children were born out of wedlock than in it. Well, one psychologist is telling us why. First, traditional reasons for marriage like economic stability and social mobility no longer matter. Next, people marry when they are happy, and we as a society are less happy. Great. Also, high divorce rates paint a bad picture. Next, the insane cost of weddings. Also, women are fine doing motherhood alone. And lastly, single women are happier and live longer. It turns out that married men have better health and happiness, but it's the opposite for women. Huh.
All right.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, no, we weren't allowed a checking account until like 1973. So, like, obviously you needed to get married because how are you going to put a shelter over your head? And now you can do it yourself. More women are in grad school than men for the first time in history in America. I totally understand this. And in Europe, it's partners. There's no need for the extravagant wedding and what comes with it. I love being married. I'm codependent as all hell. But I can see why you wouldn't need it anymore.
I want y'all to listen to how some of these women talk about
marriage, especially we're all about the same age in our early 40s, and a lot of their decisions
Al's super old.
Well, he's a little older. Seemingly come from how we were raised, like what the situation is with our parents. And for myself and my husband, both of our parents have been married for over 40 years. We see a value in partnership because we've seen 4 decades of how partnership can work and be a benefit to a family. That being said, there are people who have come from, parents who were never married, parents who were divorced, and they're making decisions based on the benefits versus the negatives about how that situation affected them. I think it's very personal, and I also think that we're in a place where it's about time that people can make these decisions. The only thing I will say is, if you have a value or you want to be married in some way, shape, or form, don't reduce that by saying saying that it's not for you if you really in your heart want it, because I think a lot of people do that as well. Like if it's not happening in this timeline, they're like, well, I just don't believe in marriage, but you're open to it. So if there's something that you want in any capacity, stay open to it without like saying it's not for you.
See, I picked up a totally different part of the study. I picked up how women are happier single and men are happier married. And for the most part, and I'm talking about, you know, not same-sex couples here, but for the most part, women take care of the men, generally speaking, right? It's like one extra child in your household.
Right.
Generally speaking here. When they're single, they're like, oh my gosh.
What do you think I'm doing here?
Men,
taking care of my family.
I'm not saying, I never said you. I'm saying
you said men, and that's me. I'm offended.
Did I not say generally speaking? Generally speaking, and every single study, literally under
These studies are so
this.
dumb, and so is marriage. The end. If you had a business and 50% of it was failing, would you close that business down? Yeah. Marriage is stupid. They gouge you at weddings. It's like $50,000, and then you end that in divorce, and I got to give half of everything to you for this stupid certificate?
I'm sorry, but listen, when your wife went away, what was in the fridge? Every single
I love being with my wife. It doesn't mean I need to be married to her and have a celebration, invite people who don't even want to come and celebrate with me with a dance floor that lights up. Does that mean I love her more?
No, my point though, you're missing the point though, is your wife takes care of the household, so to speak. You're here working, yes, but who has that big calendar up in your kitchen? Your
calendar.
Wife. Who had all those different lunches with everyone's names and breakfasts and dinners and the drinks matching it? Your wife. So I'm just saying, women typically put on and take on a lot of the household. So when they become single, it's interesting that they're happier. That's all I'm pointing out. You do a lot. You're here. I get it.
So
when they're single, they don't take care of themselves. They only take care of themselves when they only take care of the house when they're in a relationship. They don't clean up or nothing when they single.
No, right.
No, they just starve. They starve and everything's dirty when they're alone.
I thought it was interesting that she said that women do everything because they put calendars together, and it was kind of like minimizing the hard work that he does. I mean, like he goes in, he puts in, for it. Works hard to pay for everything, and you're just minimizing him. And they kind of talk about men as if men are children, but they detest when men do that to them. Okay, but
no, bro, they didn't kind of talk about it. They said it's an extra child in the house.
Okay, so I want to get to this question. I want to get to the question and ask you, why do you think? So Aaron, let me go ahead and start with you, and then we'll open it up to the panel, free flowing after that. Why do you think so many men are beginning to feel like marriage is overrated or just not worth it anymore?
I have a lot of married friends, and when they tell me the things, like the benefits they get from their wives, I'm like, yo, I got that out of a situation I had for 3 months. You know, I cohabitated with women before. I've been cooked for, back rubbed. Everything people say, you know, marriage is so good for. I'm like, well, women's giving that out, you know what I mean? Just on the strength that I'm high value. So I think one thing is that women don't save anything for marriage anymore. Like, think about you about to marry a woman, and dudes did she knows everything. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, I didn't know how to do that. Like no man wants to marry a woman that learned all these tricks from another guy. You know what I mean? So I feel like that plays a role. I feel like another thing is women that make their own money, they don't feel like they need men. And I actually made a post about this. You probably seen it on my page. I said, I want my woman to be kind of broke. Yeah. Because women with their own money don't listen. and there's some truth to that, right? Because think about it, right? When you're a child, right? When you start becoming a teenager, or maybe you get your own part-time gig and you start getting independence from your parent, you start to kind of revolt. You start to kind of have your own way you want to do things, stuff like that. And in a way, you know, when you marry a woman, that kind of becomes your child. You're like, you're the god in that house. You're the leader. So if she's out earning you, or she's earning the same amount as you, she's not going to feel more inclined to stay with you. She's going to try to go to the next level up. They know they're leveling up that these women do. That's what they do. They want to be with you until they making more money than you, and then once they make more money than you, then they level up. And then also religious, morals. I go to Muslim countries and they don't have these problems. I tell people, if you go to a Muslim country, like you don't see all these single moms running around and all these promiscuous women, going into marriages with 50 bodies. So I feel like government took God out of people's lives. I feel like when people vote, they vote for what they feel right is at the time. They don't vote based on, any type of religious, foundation. So, I mean, there's a lot more other stuff, but that's just the main points that I think.
Okay. Y'all go ahead and get in.
Interesting. Yeah, he has some good points. I mean, it's a whole lot more points to be made, but it's some very good points at it, man. And women have too much independency. Too many options, too many rights. I believe these countries that women have rights are the ones that keep marriages from happening. I just believe they should have less rights as far as voting is concerned. I don't believe they should have any ability to vote or run for office.
Wait 1 second, because I didn't hear what I just thought I heard. You said you don't think that women should have the right to vote?
No, absolutely not. Why? That's a lot of power to be able to vote, because the votes are based off of feelings. Almost everything is based off of feelings. Mm-hmm. And when they vote, they have a lot of power. And then people cater to them, like businesses. They have a lot of buying power. They are a huge consumer. They make too many decisions in America, and it allows for them to have too much power. And we all know that when women have power, they distribute it to themselves, and they destroy the community. That's just what they do. They destroy the community. When men have power, they give it to women. When women have power, they give it to themselves, despite the children, despite the husband, despite the community. They care nothing about anything but themselves. Why should they be able to vote when they vote based off of how they feel? When a man votes, when I make votes, if hypothetically I'm in a marriage and I'm voting, I'm basing that off of what my career is, how much money I have in those stocks, anything that's going to financially benefit me and my family. Women will vote because a man has on a bad color t-shirt. Why would you let someone have that much power when they have shown the inability? I don't think they are mentally capable of making decisions like that. Women have power, they destroy the community. When men have power, we take care of women. So I think we need to take some of the economical power away from them, and we need to take away almost all the power. Just like in the Middle East, they barely can do anything. But guess what? The country's always thriving. People, the birth rate is pretty much the same. The marriage rate is the same. People don't get divorced. I mean, they're going to continue. This is going to be the death of the country, allowing women all these privileges. I think we need to take away those privileges, and until we do that, the marriage rate will continue to decline, because they have to cater to them. All the companies have to cater to what women want, because they spend money relentlessly, regardless of how much money they have. They'll find a way to spend money. That's not intelligent.
I'm going to say, because this is pretty. It's a pretty stark admission on your part. I mean, so you're saying, and let me go out to Rico and open it up to Rico and Barracuda. You're saying you want to turn back the hands of time. You want to go back prior to, when did they get the right to vote? 1929, something like that. So you want to go back to the 19th century, where women were in their places. That's what you're saying. Just real quick. And I want to know if anybody else on the panel, if you agree with what Ray is saying, talking about, let's take this back to the 1800s when it comes to women's rights.
I feel like, because I served in the military, right? And one thing that a lot of young men don't understand is that when you register for selective service at 18, if there's ever a war like there may be with China and Russia and all that, we have to get drafted and go die for these rights. And the fact that women can't be drafted, I feel like you can't have one without the other. You can't get the right to vote, but then you can't get drafted in the war. And me being in the military, women can't even have combat jobs. Mm-hmm. So it literally makes no sense when you're able to get the same power as somebody, but not the same responsibility. That's like, you know what I'm saying? That's why children don't have as many rights as adults, because they can't bear the responsibility of those rights.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Women are very comparable to children. Women are very comparable to children.
Let me, and the thing is, you say that because, Aaron and I, we have a coach, Mr. Let Go. And that's his catchphrase. That's his line, is that women are children. He doesn't say women are like, he doesn't do the similes. He's like, women are children. It's like straight metaphor. Women are children. Rico, get in there, and then Barracuda, I want to hear from you. Rico, are you?
Okay, y'all brothers hit heavy.
Are you signing off? Are you on the same page? You on the same page with Ray?
Nah, not quite.
Okay.
Not even. I just can't. Y'all hit a little heavy. I don't think we need to turn back the hands of time. I believe there's a saying power perceived is power achieved. Yeah, they can vote and everything like that, but we have to look at people's actions and judge them based on their actions. I don't think I don't want to go to war to suppress the women's rights to vote. But if someone, whether it's your woman or your child, whatever, they're not voting your interest, we have to show them that we're not going to stand for that. We're not going to feed poison. You know what I mean? So if whether what you're doing is poisonous to me or poisonous to society, it's still poison. So we can't continue to do what we've been doing, which is like turn a blind eye or say, hey, that's just women. We have to get to a point where we are okay with saying, hey, what you're doing illustrates clearly that you don't care about me. And then we will have then that power will be achieved, because lately for the last 50 years, we've been just rolling over to the women's wishes. We've been listening to this, I'm a victim, and forgetting all about our own victimhood. And the lady in the clip, she talked about men are happier in marriages. What men? What men? What men has she talked to? She listening to men who say what they're programmed to say. Because you got to look at what men do in marriage and what they do outside of marriage. Men outside of marriage are far happier. You might be sad when the marriage dissolves. It's a lot to figure out then. Whether you're going to keep your check or whether you're going to see the kids. It's a lot to figure out.
Okay,
right?
But and not to cut you off, but I just push back just a little bit. But what about those men who, let's say, their wife is on their program and they love their kids? I mean, there are guys who they don't have issues with their wife. They and their wife are on the same page and they have their family. I mean, wouldn't you say those guys have it? Hold on 1 second. Wouldn't you say that those guys have it much better than guys who have to constantly go out on dates, especially with the mentality that a lot of the women have today? Wouldn't you say that guys like that have it better?
Absolutely. We as a man, you want to go the simplest route. The simplest route for me is to have a woman that's on my team. I don't have to outsource. I don't have to look around and shop around. I know who's standing to the right of me. That's the simplest route. Mm-hmm. If I know the person that's standing to the right of me doesn't care about me as much as I care about them, then it's foolish for me to keep to pour into that. So, and when I'm speaking on marriage, I'm only speaking on relationships from my perspective. I never dealt with anyone outside of the United States. I've dealt with people who were from outside of the United States, but I've never dealt with anyone where we were physically outside of the States. Mm-hmm. So my view, there are a few happy relationships where there are a few relationships that even look happy. Maybe I'll say maybe 10%. because we already know 70 something of them don't even last. So and so if that leave like 30%, that 30%, some people just hanging on to be hanging on. So I'm marriage not looking too good. Sister's been saying it for years. It don't look good being married to us, but that's because they leave with half our stuff. Half our stuff and like all of our mind. They find a way to like interrupt all of our processes in life before they leave, and to keep it that way. So we got to vote our interests for sure.
Yeah, I want to bring in Barracuda. Tell me what you think. I mean, are you in agreement with the rest of the brothers, man? That, well, I don't know, do you agree with Aaron and Ray that we need to turn back the hands of time and maybe disenfranchise our sisters even temporarily in order to get things back on track? Do you agree with that?
Well, not to be too technical, I don't believe in going back in time. I believe in molding things depending on what's going on. I'm not sure how to answer that. They all said a very logical point. So in due respect, I'm not sure. I'm neutral on it. I'll say this. Humans tend to be as faithful as their options. And our country has given ladies a lot of options for the filling of it, right? Naturally, when it comes to men and women, if you look at it, women tend to abuse power in way more numbers if you look at the results. They get power, they get a job to prove they don't need a man, supposedly. We get a job to provide for a family. They're selfish. It is, and the thing is, it used to be, selfish, so because she can protect the inside, not be spread too thin. She can get your wounds and nurture you, and she has a wider peripheral. She can see enemies and wildlife. You got the narrow vision. You're taking out that predator. You're protecting. She's holding down the house. You go to town, get provision. You're establishing status, which turns her on for mating, and because she wants the best she can get, and usually men want the most they can get. So you come back from spreading yourself thin with the town and respects you. She's like, that's her man. Come back. She held down the house. Y'all have great sex. Y'all get it in. Y'all have a great relationship. The issue is, since the in my perspective and from listening to professionals, that women are the property of the government, and depending on where they're at, they're universal, and they're gonna behave without the government allows. Right? You see certain different countries which are stricter. There's usually higher marriage rates, and they're usually getting along. But wherever feminism spreads, too much freedom, humans with too much freedom, both male and female tend to abuse power. And the thing is, our country unfortunately said, hey, a lot of people, hey, ladies, you can do whatever you want. It's the man's fault. You have infinite response, infinite mentality. But us men know that reality catches up with us real quick. It tends to catch up to them when they start losing male attention, right? And when it comes down to it, you see all these things women make about me, right? Their design, right? They talk about all the stuff they got to do, whatever. They don't typically compare it to the other person. Once you start comparing what men have to do for women, they're like, once they see that a lot of the simple things women can do that men can actually do themselves, what do men need us for? So guess they try to do what a lot of them believe their best asset is their peace sleeve. So guess what? Women tend to be extreme by nature, so they're going to push to the max. And also, companies and certain sources in this country said, make men accept what you will have to offer. And a lot of women ate it up because they love to be empowered and they love to be extreme. And unfortunately, they're negative by nature. Neuroticism is higher than men. So, how do you? Me speaking right now, instantly, probably no grace, just negative. Call me words like misogynist, narcissist, all this kind of stuff. What happened to the grace? It's negative, negative, negative. And so when it comes to the voting, when they were doing all the rights and stuff, which things never were about equality, never stood up equal, because guess what? That meeting, they told the Caucasian female, say, hey, black woman, don't speak. Where's the equality? And then the Caucasian female got to vote. What did it take the black woman about, 40-something years to be able to vote? Where's the equality? It's never about that. So, and then also certain things wanted to have them just sign up for selective service. They didn't want that. But of course, certain sources and companies like, you know what? A bunch of these women are not taxed. That's money. We're going to take that off the table. Take that off the table. We'll give you rights and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And now I've seen they're trying to get women, I think it's 18 to 25, to have to sign up for a selective service. And I was in a live, I don't know if it's true or not, but this military guy said it's already been done, that they got to now. So I'm not sure about that.
I haven't heard that. I mean, Aaron, have you heard that? That women 18 to 25 have to register for the draft?
That's new information to me. I've been out for a while, so that is happening. That's new.
Yeah,
sure.
I haven't heard that. I don't know. Well, I have to research that, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I had barely glimpsed it that they were trying to push it. But then as far as there was somebody's live, I think it was either Obsidian or somebody came on as a military saying that they did. So I'm like, huh? So I didn't, of course, I'm not going to just believe confirmation bias. And as far as saying they did, he didn't confirm what ages. He just said it's already been done. I don't know who he was, but I'm like, that's weird. But I could never find it. So maybe he was just going off of feeling. Who knows?
No, well, I'll tell you real quick before I ask you a follow-up question. I saw it was in a news segment, and they were talking about making it fair. The fact that men. If you don't sign up you don't register for the draft, you could do 5 years in jail. You could do 250. You could have to pay a fine of $250,000. You can't qualify for financial aid. You can't work for any government. But women don't have those stipulations, and so they were talking about making it fair. And the same women who scream and holler about, gender equality and making it fair, you know what they use as their argument for not having why they shouldn't register for the draft? Well, it's not safe sexually in the military because they have sexual assaults. I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding. You have more. I got to be careful with the words I use because YouTube will flag. You have more of those type of assaults on college campuses. You're not saying that they shouldn't go to college. So I find that interesting. The people who scream the loudest for gender equality are not really about gender equality. They're really about consolidating power for themselves, man. It's more about having power. I want to ask this question because we're talking about a lack of fairness, and I wanted to ask you. I think Ray, I don't know if I started with you last time, but Rico, I'm going to start with you. How much of an impact do you think, like family courts, divorce laws, and child support, play into men's reluctance to get married nowadays?
I think it has a profound impact on the reluctance to get married, as well as a profound impact on the reluctance to divorce. It's the first thought. I would think it's like maybe the second thought. You don't want to lose your family or whatever, but it's probably the second thought. And I'm probably being generous. It probably is the first thought nowadays because I just don't see a lot of reason for men to stick around in marriage. Like what? I don't see what most men benefit from it at all. I see the statistics or whatever about that, but I think they got to be old. They can apply to like the last 10 years. There's a lot of guys who are out here saying, hey, we can be married just without signing the papers. Even that seems like a bum deal with what a lot of women are, quote unquote, bringing to the table. Because a lot of women will tell you, hey, you know, I got kids. I don't need another kid. I don't, you know, want to do this. I ain't got time to take care of a man. I can't cook for no man. I can't clean behind a man. But then they still got your money is our money and my money is my money. So so now you my kid. So I can take care of you. I can go break my back to make sure you good. And what do I get out of that? I get like arm candy that I don't even like. If I go downstairs and if I go, you know, to my room and I pull out a watch, I get to pick what watch I put on. So like I pay for that watch. I get to pick what watch I put on. That a woman want me to pay for her. I don't get to tell her nothing. I don't get to criticize, critique, suggest. Any of those things make me a misogynist or a narcissist or controlling or whatever. And the courts back them. The courts back them because they can go to court and say, hey, I'm controlling, I'm abusive, just for suggesting, just for making a suggestion. It could be a wardrobe suggestion. I'm controlling. Scary. Like, men gotta walk on eggshells in relationships. So marriage, imagine like them having some type of legal say or the ability to paint you as a barbarian or whatever to manipulate the courts to give them what they want. It's a terrible thing we face, and I don't see men doing that to women. I know a lot of dudes who come through relationships who went through some serious hell, and they still don't paint that woman, you know, in a bad light. They don't do it. They talk about it, you know, amongst the fellas, but they really don't do that when it counts, when it could be used against the woman. Mm-hmm. They still protect them. I mean, I still protect women, you know, but I ain't rushing to marry. Not what I see. I've thought that I wanted to marry some people in the past, but that was only like it was fleeting. It didn't last long.
Right. I want you guys to go ahead and chime in, and then when you're done, I got a request from a sister in the chat, Miss Kiwi, who said that she thought I should elaborate on how I'm benefiting from marriage, and I'll go ahead and do that. But I want you guys to go ahead and finish, and once we're done, I'll chime in.
Let me jump in here real quick. So another thing that I did research on was the causes of divorce and why people are not happy, and what keep coming up consistently. It might not be number one across the list, but consistently is finances. And I'm someone, I lived in Asia. I lived in the Caribbean. I lived in the Philippines most of the time. I've been to Africa. And one thing that I realized, the biggest difference between America and a lot of these other countries, third world countries, second world countries, whatever you want to call them, is that you don't got to do a lot to maintain, like, even if I was a local, you don't got to do a lot to maintain your wife in these countries. See, you come in the States, right? You got to have 2 cars. What is it? His and hers. You got these sayings out here. It's cheaper to keep her. You know what I mean? You know, happy wife, happy life. So it's almost like men are like slaves to women in the States versus in other countries. It's more of an even playing field. Because if we're being honest, women can find good dudes that make $40,000-$50,000 a year. And if the woman is frugal and if she's willing to shop at TJ Maxx, that's what I'm trying to tell you. These women don't really want love. When people tell me, oh, I'm only going to Dominican Republic to get poor women, yeah, exactly. Because when I do with you guys, right, nothing's ever enough. You go on Instagram, you see your girlfriend's going on 3 vacations a year. You need 3 vacations a year. I got to drop $50,000 on a wedding so you look good in front of your friends and your family. I got to buy you a ring that's a certain size. So when you look at how much money, it's kind of like going to casino for a man in America. It's like you're literally about to take all this money and put it on black. and you literally got to spend that. I think the odds for blackjack is better than your odds for divorce. What's your odds of getting divorced if you get married in America? Like what? Like 70%?
It's 50%.
60%, something like that.
50%.
So your odds is almost as good as just taking all your money and throwing it on blackjack. So I feel like America is a very materialistic country that it took people from keeping up with the Joneses, just the people in your neighborhood, to trying to keep up with the Kardashians. Because it's just the expectations. If you ask the average woman, what do you expect for the man to do? Okay, I expect for him to at least pay the rent, be able to do this. And then if you look at how much it costs to buy a house back in the 1950s versus now, how much it costs to put kids in college. Yo, I remember I took my kids to a Sesame Place one time. It was $100 just walking in between paying for the parking. So, life is not like that in other countries where the man has 4 kids with his Dominican wife and he's responsible for taking them to Nickelodeon Studios 4 times a year. And for me investing in real estate in Philly, I had a lot of Latino workers working for me. One thing I noticed with Mexicans and South Americans, these dudes will be outside of Home Depot making $40 a day. I know, I paid them. That's how much I was giving them, $40-$50 a day. And guess what? Every time I would drop them off home after a day of work, they had their wife waiting for them with them kids, cooking and cleaning in a little shack house. She could, leave him and get a.
You ain't gonna sell that to no sister.
So tell a sister I'm about to be out front of Home Depot working hard, trying to get little gigs. She'll be like, all right, well, look, get yourself together first, because I'm not trying to build no man. What they say? I ain't trying to build no man. I want a man.
You hit down a lot of points.
Hold on. Mexicans are some of the most manliest men I ever met. First of all, Dominican men, yo, these dudes will be out here in 100-degree weather, 6 o'clock in the morning, working till night to only bring home $40, and their wife still holding them down. But then you got the garbage man. In the States. He's working hard. You got the bus driver, the SEPTA driver, school bus driver. They working hard, but they don't get that same respect from their women, because you don't get respect from women for working hard. You get respect from women from having the dollars reflecting that. Because there's a lot of hardworking men that can't get a good woman. So I'm gonna throw that in there too.
Right. Go ahead, jump in there, Barracuda.
All right, you said a whole lot of points, my brother. It was great, excellent. Yes, I'm glad to be a part of a long-winded cast, and it's good to have long-winded. I want to have short-winded. So, all right. So I wanted to say, I don't know where I want to start. Okay. So one of the reasons why I see men staying, to address, I think, another gentleman's point, is a lot of my research, they stay because of the kids. Usually, otherwise a lot of men would want to leave. And of course, not every case, but a lot of the cases where it's not harmonious. Also, oh Jesus, there's so many points. The courts. Let's put it like this. I'll go off what you said about the respect that the Latino men get, the Mexican men get. So basically, they have a culture based off of reality. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, humans are usually as faithful as their options. So, first world countries, men make it so comfortable enough where women feel like they don't need them. When they need to realize that in reality, men can survive in wars for months and years without women, which we have. Ladies, when it comes to nature, you're not surviving too long without us. And I know that makes them feel inadequate. All this stuff, all these privileges, think about it. It's all to make them feel, I don't want to feel inadequate. But they got to realize it's okay, because nowhere in nature, for the most part, maybe hyenas, do females resist male leadership because bad males exist. It doesn't make any sense, because one of the things we do, nature respects male power and dominance. We got to protect. And the thing is, it makes them feel some type of way, because just picture being a woman, right? Your women typically are extreme. So you see a bad guy, you believe all men are bad, whatever. Then there's creatures that they can attack you. So you don't know whether to surrender to a man or defend yourself. You're confused. You're scared. So let me develop masculine traits, which is gonna turn me off and which is gonna drive me crazy and have me high antidepressants. So I'll say this. My thing is. No, because I gotta recheck the stats, but the most freest woman in the world are the most miserable, highest on the antidepressants, coping mechanism. Too much freedom without instruction is headed for destruction. That's where us men put checks on power. We know it can drive the best of us insane. So can you imagine what it's doing to women? And she thinks someone's always coming to save her. She thinks she has infinite resources. She can just drop a dude and get another one like that because it's power. You know what I'm saying? There are women out there that will refuse a dude that they're attracted to just to say they refuse them to feel powerful because that top dude refused her. They think it's payback and karma. How many times you hear about the lady won't lose weight in a marriage or in a relationship, but as soon as he dumps her, she loses it to show him the woman he can't have. What? So how about you just care about your own your health, and do it for yourself and your partner? You want to stay attractive, don't you? You don't want me to cheat, do you? Because most men don't cheat. Most men don't have the opportunity to cheat. Now, as far as women, I would say the same thing, but there was something that came out that said the women are now cheating more than men. They have more opportunities. I've slept with a whole lot of women. Right. Unfortunately, accidentally, some married. I didn't know some married. So
I will say this, and not putting anybody out there. I think there are a lot of guys that have played the role of Jody that have been that side dude. I don't know. I think there are a number of those guys out there who've done that. And
it's a better position. It's a better position to be in playing Jody.
Breaking up, Ray.
You say it again.
I said Jody is a better position to play. It's way more rewarding.
Nah, bro.
So how so?
Okay, so you get all the privileges. You get all the privileges minus the bullshit and less risk. So the man that she goes home with has to deal with her bullshit, and he has to take the risk for her deciding that she wants to fuck me and divorce him and taking all this stuff. Wherein I'm at home. Once I got my clarity, I don't care nothing about her. See, I win in all aspects. He have to deal with not only have to deal with her attitude, and probably most likely if she's a black woman, she probably ain't cooking for him and serving. But he has to deal with the risk of her leaving, taking all the shit that he worked hard for. And guess what I got? I got post-nut clarity, and I'm going home to the next one.
Well,
so I'm dealing with no bullshit.
So are you saying? I mean, you make it seem like it's aspirational to be a Jody, right? Well, you're making it seem like it's aspirational, like it's better. Go ahead.
In this country, it is much better to be Jody. In the West, in the UK, in Australia, in America, it's much better to be a Jody. You risk a whole lot less because the bottom line is all women know they're more whores than the women in other countries. And I'm Jody to a lot of women. And as innocent and sweet as they pretend to be, guess what? They're not. And they can divorce you and take all your money. And I'm going to get post-nut and clarity. I'm going to go home.
So, Ray.
So who's winning?
So Aaron, I saw you nodding your head. So it seems like you're in agreement that
yes. Up until because it just really hit me. If any of you guys on the panel ever had like a life-threatening illness before, like you thought you wasn't going to make it, like you was like in the bed, like saying your last prayers and all that. Anybody? So the reason I asked that, right? Because I've been that sick before. Like I couldn't wipe my own ass. I couldn't feed myself, and this was when I was in my 20s. And this girl that I had grew up with, she was the only one that was answering my calls, coming over, taking care of me. I'm gonna be real with you. Your homies, when you sick, your homies ain't gonna be coming over wiping your ass. I'm just being real with you. Like Your homies ain't gonna do that. They just gonna be like, yo, you good, bro? You know what I mean? All right, bro, I gotta go do, because men don't feel sorry for other men. I'm just gonna be real. Y'all, we don't. Like, if I'm sick and I'm fucked up, damn, bro, you good? Take some medicine, bro. Get with me. You be all right. Yo, remember on Paid in Full? Well, when A Boogie got shot, and you came around like, yo, people get shot every day, B. Like men don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
but Benji, hold on, brother. You say a lot of good points, but you I'm not the host. But I'm just saying, because you say a lot of good things.
The point I'm trying to make is, right, the only benefit that I did see with getting married was when I was at my sickest. I couldn't take care of myself. My mother is deceased. You know, my father wasn't in my life. You know what I mean? My grandmom had Alzheimer's. I literally had nobody. And this woman, you know, came into my life, and, you know, she kind of trapped me into a relationship because, you know, after a couple times of wiping me, she like, yo, so are we like in a relationship, or like I'm just helping you out? Like,
yeah, it's coming.
But I'm gonna be real with you, man. From wiping my creams on my back, from taking me to my doctor's appointments, that was the only time I'm like, damn, I'm so glad I got like a female in my life that's like willing to do this. Because if I was doing that Jody thing and just burning bridges with women and, you know, hitting and leaving, I don't know how I would have got through that.
So here's what I gotta say, because I'm listening, and it sounds like you have a lot of issues with them until it's time, you know, until you need somebody to wipe your ass, until you're sick and need somebody to wipe your ass. And that's kind of cold. So then what the sisters are saying now when they say, well, you just want a slave, because that's how it sounds. That's how you made it sound. You made it sound like, hey, sisters have all these problems. These women have all these problems. But you know what? When I have my stomach hurts and I got the rice water shits, I need somebody to help me clean myself.
That's the catch.
That doesn't sound too good.
You're right. You're right. It didn't sound too good, but I'm not gonna let you paint that as being a slave. That's being a caring person. So I asked if anyone had a life-threatening injury or a life-threatening illness. No, I didn't have that, but it was 2 times in my life. One when I was about 35. I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk for months. And my girl was pretty good to me. You know, we had our differences even before that, but during that time, she didn't make me feel any less of a man. And so I can say that. And then there was a time, you know, I went through an incident. I was not getting money, and I gotten, you know, stabbed, a little bit of violence, you know, and I was with someone who we were on the outs, but we were still living together, and she took pretty good care of me, even though we had major differences. So yeah, there's that benefit. There should be benefits to relationships. Now, when you talked about the being a Jody, yeah, you know, I've been a Jody. I still be being a Jody, but we can't talk about all the benefits if we not. You got to talk about the cons to that too. Like somebody might
cons. What con?
Somebody might come knocking at your door.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Oh well, that's not a small price to pay, bro. I was talking about an incident in my 20s where I linked up with this girl, and her. Well, I guess it was her ex-boyfriend or whatever, was like a former NFL player. And that Bama walked in the house while she was sitting on my lap. And I sat in there for 2 hours because I was too chicken to leave. I watched, maybe not 2 hours. I watched an episode of Fresh Prince and an episode of Martin Lawrence. He was sitting on the couch crying, and I was sitting on the couch just looking like, sheesh. Like, I'm not leaving no time soon. So, you know, that's a serious con.
It seems like the
hold on. Let me bring in.
It's like the point.
I want Barracuda to get a chance to get in here because like as I'm listening to Aaron and I'm listening to Rico, it doesn't sound like the sisters are too bad. Like, I mean, I don't want. It seems like we're issuing a parade of negatives, but then on the flip side, you're talking about you have women that are holding you down, women that will wipe your ass when you're sick, and as you mentioned, your boys ain't going to do that. Barracuda,
in instances,
Barracuda, come here. Let's balance this thing out.
Oh God. Okay, I got a lot to say, so I'm gonna go because everybody's been going. So listen. All right, now let's take Mr. Akon on Fire for example. He's married. You know, I don't know the details of his relationship, but at the same time, it can work. But I will say, and I mean, the benefits I heard from marriage is 20% possible increase your income. You're respected more. Now, to flip that, as far as the benefits, first is the negatives overall in the country. The negatives are seeming to outweigh the benefits. Now, like I said, I don't know your situation, Mr. on Fire. It can work, but the probability isn't as high as it used to be, and that's the issue because a lot of ladies have the infinite mindset. And when you look up the reasons for divorces, a lot of them, like I said, the money, financial. Finance is not you're supposed to value character. There are cases where women who make more than their men stay with them because they value that man. But unfortunately, doesn't seem to be the majority. And that is the major issue. So it's becoming harder to find what Mr. Akon on Fire has. Right? And of course, man, we go off of numbers. So check this out, right? So this is the issue. Right? According to media man Dennis Sperling, the blackdemographics.com, peer research, and the census, right? Most of us black men don't have kids about 57.25 or 56 something whatnot, right? 42.75 or 42 point something of us have kids, which is a minority, right? Most of us that have kids are married. About 30% make up for 33% of the kids right now, right? So most of us do. Now, according to the data, and like I have the videos and whatnot, you guys have to check out yourself. According to media man who works for the CDC, works for the government, and Dennis Sperling, attorney, we have about 70% of our out of wedlock kids are made by 10% of our men. The other ones, about 1.2 million out of wedlock, are by primarily Latino, white, Asian, etc. So the issue is, since this infinite mind spent, since Effinism, there's been primitive mating standards that have happened, and those numbers are scary. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, that shows, according to the Caucasian professionals as well, that most women in this country are sleeping with the same men. Us men who are getting the plays, who are doing the Jody thing, they're sleeping with the same men. That's kind of why I'm in these space to redeem myself, because I'm guilty of the ish. So at the same time, us men, I'm not gonna say most or half or whatever, because we're simple creatures, but it's kind of hard to study us because we're so quiet. We used to be taught to resist our carnal desires, the Bible's for, and other stuff like that, right? These ladies, en masse, were not taught to resist their carnal desires. They were lied to and told to embrace it by a minority of men. A minority of men who controls everything and who can shut the majority of men up. And guess what? Those minorities are either businesses, government, attractive men, players, rappers, whatever. They have the influence. And unfortunately, our lovely ladies, being extreme, think, oh, that's all men. Let me go chase them. And when those men reject them, because these men like me tell them, since I was in high school, avoid that guy. Well, should I date you? Don't date me, I ain't ready, but avoid that guy. Oh, I want to convince myself that making this wrong action is right. And then when it doesn't work, all men ain't ish. All men ain't ish. There is men what's the Kevin Samuels song with the guy who had 70 baby mamas? There's guys out here, so many baby mamas. They're sleeping with the same men. So the issue is, and a lot of men are ending up having to be, if they want to get married, they got to be a stepdaddy more than likely. And that's taking on someone else's kid, which it can work out. I know it can work out. But at the same time, it's not working out because most men want their own seat, which I understand. The issue is a lot of women aren't respecting that. They've been told men should accept them how they can make a mistake, just have a kid, and accept. I mean, that's not how it works. And then now it used to be an honor to be a stepdaddy. A lot of them are abusing it. You have kids saying, "You're not my daddy," all this other stuff. So the issue is, sure, the men, most of us in the middle class, we've had decreasing incarceration rates. Whether that was from the whole release, I think a few years ago, or increase of good behavior, who knows? We got the most millionaires, about 2.5 million. All right, and we are wanted in other countries, right? If we're so bad, we would not be wanted, right? And on top of that, we're the most present father, most involved fathers in this country, according to the CDC and the data. So for majority, we're doing well. And also, according to dating apps and professionals researching the OkCupid, the different ones, they say, these are women saying this and men, most men on there are wanting relationships, or were. The women are wanting the hookup culture because they control access to sex. They act like, well, if men controlled it, we would daggone give us some. You daggone right now. We can only do as much as you allow. We do. Otherwise, there's a place for us called jail and prison. Come on now. You control that. Right. And so one last thing, I'll say this, right? Like the Passport Bros, right? I'm in the groups. I talk to them. I know some high value men that are some. I listen. I see them getting wives. I see them having fun with girls. And if they are triggering, as long as it's legal, cool, whatever. Have fun. Just don't embarrass us. Do not do anything illegal and put our country at risk. But when I see the lovely ladies, and I'm Jamaican too. I see them going down to Jamaica. I see them doing the very thing they accuse men of, but they're pushing to the limit. And also allegations of, because the Jamaicans, us little boys that grow up fast, allegations of, things that aren't right. And heck, even the Caucasian, the Europeans just got banned from Gambia for that stuff. So it's like,
they'll be back. They'll be back.
They're probably back, but I think Gambia was trying to have a better outlook because women push things to the extreme. They try to be the worst of men. You notice that? They try to be, I want to be like, I think if I had a diva one day, I'd have all the, geez, that's not what makes you a man. It just makes you permissible. What makes you a man is being a leader, being a person of your word and of integrity. Well, your word is your bond. Being able to lead, protect, provide.
Right.
And be something a shield she can console in.
And
my issue is, last thing I'll say this. The data is showing that unfortunately, our ladies are the problem. And until we correct them, it's gonna keep on going. It's gonna keep on going. We can't, if we go to correct them, you're a misogynist, you're this. Listen, one last thing, gentlemen, if a person calls you something narcissistic, misogynist, all that negative stuff is deprivations per se. If it's enough, you can press charges. Respect yourselves and do not let people ruin your reputation.
I want to run through some stats real quick. I want to run through some stats, watch a quick video, and then I want to talk about this notion of men using surrogate mothers. I think it's an interesting phenomenon. I want to get to that, but let me run through these stats. So when we talk about whether or not the system is biased against men, we know that nearly 50% of all marriages end in divorce. Of those divorces, 80% of the divorces are initiated by women. 85% of women get primary custody of their children. Women receive 90% of all alimony goes to women. The divorce industry is a $28 billion a year industry that primarily victimizes men. along with the family courts, which victimizes men. And then when you look at women who are the primary beneficiary of this system, they're told, they're always told that they have to be careful before getting married, that they need to get their education before getting married, they need to establish their careers before getting married, and to have some money set aside just in case. And when they do get divorced, typically their lawyer is pro bono, or they arrange it in a way that the man, the ex-husband, has to pay their legal fees, which I feel is like a conflict of interest, because the two lawyers can collude with each other and drag it out to bleed the husband dry. So I think that's totally wrong. And the question I want to ask you is, why do we encourage women to prepare for the pitfalls of marriage and not men, even though marriage is far riskier for men? But before you answer that question, and Ray, I'm going to go to you with this question. Well, actually, I'll go with Aaron, because I'll save the surrogate question for you. So let's take a quick look at this video. Okay.
So I learned from watching the podcast that in Florida law, if my wife and me are together and she steps out on us and has a baby and she comes back, the baby is officially mine by Florida law. Why would you want it? You cannot discard it. It's yours. She can put me on child support for somebody else's baby. What? Yes.
You think I'm finna pay child support on a baby that ain't mine?
Did y'all know that if a married woman gets pregnant by another man, the husband is legally that child's father?
It sounds ridiculous, but in the state of Texas, this is kind of true. There's what's called the presumption of paternity, which means that if you're married and you have a child during that marriage, it is presumed that the father of that child is the husband. There are two ways that you can go about rebutting this, and that means actually proving that someone else is the daddy. One, it can be adjudicated by a court, or two, there has to be a denial by the presumed father, the husband, and there has to be an acceptance of paternity at the same time by someone else who is actually the father. So, two parts to that: denial by the husband, acceptance of paternity by somebody else.
Wow.
Yeah. So who said wow?
You are convincing us. Sorry, go ahead.
That is a lot.
No. I set that clip up because I wanted to ask, like, why do you think in our society, we encourage women to be careful? Like little girls women from the time they're little girls, they're taught to make sure that they have an education, because you don't want to rely on a man, because a man may leave you. Taught to focus on your career, because you want to have something on your own. You don't want to have to rely on a man. I mean, they're taught from a very young age that marriage is going to fail. They're taught failure at a very young age. Meanwhile, I don't think boys are being taught that, hey, 50% of divorces, marriages end in divorce, and 80% of the time women initiate that. So that's the question that I have, just out of curiosity. Why do we encourage women to prepare for the pitfalls of marriage and not men, even though marriage is riskier for men? Go ahead, Barracuda. Go ahead.
I'll try to keep it quick.
Okay.
So, guess what? If you put fear into women's hearts, that's very profitable. That's a big timeline set up for them to get on antidepressants. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, if you market tell them to get their degree, they'll be marketed to go to. They usually often market saturated degrees like business administration, which you can do excellent with. But they market the degrees to women because that's money. So guess what? You got her putting off her biological years to find a great man for a job that can easily replace her, will not mourn her death, more than likely. And then on top of that, once she's done and finishing getting that job, can't find a man, she's depressed, they're social creatures, on those antidepressants. It's very profitable. Guess what? And men, we are the workhorse of society. We are supposedly expendable. So guess what? If you go ahead and if you put marriage in the favor of the woman, right, and give incentives for divorce, $1 billion industry, guess what? It's in her favor. If you tell the little boys, go get married, that makes you a man. Guess what? The workhorses that are going to careers and make more money, get married, something goes wrong, take all half her stuff, take all that stuff, still working, she's getting that stuff, and she's on her antidepressants, and she's going through guys. Because I tell women, if you divorce a man for a bad reason, men on his level are better going to ask you the right questions. When they get to you, they're either going to bend you over or they're going to bid you good night. You will have to date down and down and down with men you don't admire. And more antidepressants.
And that's not going to happen. I mean, a lot of women do not believe in hypogamy. They won't date down. The women are hypergamous, and you know, ironically, women are doing much better. At least in terms of the matriculation rate for universities. Like most universities have maybe like 65% women, 35% men. In the case of Howard University, it's 72% women and 28% men. So a lot of women are not going to date down, even though they're doing much better. Aaron, I want you to chime in and tell me, why do you think we encourage women to, or just go ahead. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the question. Go ahead.
Number one, bro, and I want all men to understand this: you are disposable, and no one's coming to save you. Like I learned that at a very young age, that like how disposable we are. For example, right? I don't know if you guys, ever watched any movies on like World War II, like how they had to storm the beaches of Normandy. Do you guys know how many men they sent into like barraging bullets, just ripping them apart just like it's nothing? Imagine watching women do that. Like your brain can't even fathom women rushing on that beach and just getting like laid out. So we've been engineered not just by the media, but just by society, how disposable men are. Even amongst our own peers, it's like, when a man goes through something, it's like, it's just not that big of a deal. So I always tell my male friends, no matter what you're going through, you broke right now, your health is bad, whatever, nobody cares because nobody's coming to save you because you're a man. When you're a woman, you'll get some sympathy, you get some empathy. So you can find a simp. See, a woman can find a simp when she's not doing good in life. Well, a man can't find that when he's doing bad in life. Like, I wish there were like a simp version of women out there that just look for men that's just struggling and is willing to help them out. So to get back on topic, some women
what's
do.
Pookie and Ray, right?
Some do.
Well, you know what? I can't relate. You know what I think it is? I think I can't relate to a Pookie or Ray. It's not even, those women don't even appear to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I never had a woman that wanted to pay my bills. I don't know how these Pookies be finding these guys. But really quick though, right? Let me just comment on that video because I'm watching something about this right now. So that law that says that men have to raise kids if their woman got pregnant by another man, that law came from England, right? Because, America, was founded by England and then got free and whatever. So pretty much it comes from the 4 C's law. So the 4 C's laws basically said that if your man went off to war in any one of these 4 C's and that man comes back and this woman is pregnant, that's your child. Because DNA testing is something that was invented within the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. Like DNA test was the answer to prove how promiscuous women are. And I feel like Maury has been off for so long, we forget what women do. They will literally go out here and get pregnant by Pookie, find a simp, tell him it's his kid, and then he won't find out it's not until you go on the Maury show. Like the Maury show is why when I was 17 years old and my daughter was born, I asked that nurse, I said, can we do the DNA test now? They looked at me like I was the one being disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'm in the delivery room. I'm like, yo, can I get DNA test? They're like, we don't do that here. You have to take that. And so wait a minute. I either have to sign my daughter's birth certificate now and be responsible for this kid no matter what, or not sign the birth certificate and have to spend my own money to make sure this is my kid. That is what the average man goes through. And it's also another statistic that says that 12% of men in marriages that are raising their kids, 12%, one of their kids are not theirs.
Actually, it was 33%, and what was it? It was the American. No. It is 1 in 3, 1 in 3. And that's not to say that 1 in 3 out of every couple. It's just those who went in for the test. A 1 in 3.
Right, that's what it was. Out of the ones that went in for testing, that's like, yo, you know what? I did go off on a couple of deployments. Or, yo, you do got to work, husband. I don't know. Those guys that go in like that, that's the 33%.
Yeah, I before the rest of you go, let me just say this. I had a friend of mine. Obviously, this story is third hand. And a friend of mine, he had a friend who had gone overseas and he was working, and he was gone for a while. And for some strange reason, his wife all of a sudden she wanted him to come home so bad. She kept pressing him, you need to come home. You need to come home. And so he's like, okay. So he came home and she was putting it on him every day for a couple of weeks, just to the point he was tired. And then, lo and behold, she ended up pregnant. The baby came at 8 months from the time he was there. And so when the baby came out, he was dealing with the baby for almost a year. And he's like, man, something ain't right, man. This baby his cry don't sound like my other baby's cry. Something in me, that fatherly tingling is just, something was off. And so he went to get I guess, one of those DNA tests, the kind that you can get at the pharmacy or whatever. And it was like Maury. It showed you are not the father. And so this man is breaking down and crying. He crying. He calls his his siblings, and they say no, don't go too far. The baby, right? No, they said that you don't even know if this thing is legit. You got to go to the hospital. So he went to the hospital in Maryland and did the test. You're not the father. And so he really broke down, and he told his wife, and his wife swore up and down. She said, I don't care what that DNA test says, you are the father. And I think, because in Maryland, I think if you sign your name on the birth certificate, and after a certain period of time, you are legally deemed as the father. So if he would have split, because I didn't know the rest of the story, he would have to pay child support. But I just wanted to chime in and bring that into your point, man. Ray, get in here on this issue. Why don't we encourage boys the same way we do girls to prepare for the pitfalls of marriage?
You all are overlooking a very important aspect of this. It's about money. It's very simple. Keeping women single will allow them to spend more money. Why would you put a man in her life so that he can whisper a bunch of logical talk? You can't buy that dress. We can't afford it. You can't buy that car. We can't afford it. We all know that women spend money emotionally. And I have plenty of examples of this. When women are alone, they do nothing but try to account for not having a man, buying animals, buying clothes. Emotional shopping is a thing, and only women do it. Women emotionally shop. So why would you, and this goes for the churches that want to keep women single so they can continue to give their money away. This goes for all of those businesses that promote you're strong, you don't need man, you're strong as him. Because as long as they stay single, they'll continue to spend emotionally. And once a man comes in her life, he's going to be in her ear like, no, we don't need to spend that money. Right. Why would you stop the money? The economy banks on women being single, because if they're not single, men are going to operate the money more so than they will when they're alone. How many of us know about women who, instead of paying for the light bill, bought a dress for the club? How many of us know that? We all know about that. If you take a man out of a woman's life and let her operate on, her own devices, she will spend all the money and she'll probably destroy everything that she touches. That's just what it is. And the thing is, those are not things that you see right in front of you. The thing that men can do, we can see problems down the street, around the corner, years from now. We can watch that and say that this is what's going to happen. Women see right in front of them. They see the hand right here. Right now, I have $150 in the bank. Now, all of the pending transactions that she got, she don't see that. What she sees is the $150 she has in her account. And that's what the businesses bank on. And that's why they cater so much to women, because the more single they are, the more money that the businesses make. And that goes for, again, it goes for church. That goes for any business. They bank on women being single. But and even if it comes at the cost of destroying communities, business, why would you give a fuck? You're making billions of dollars.
But Ray, I mean, what would you say to those who say, man, the way you talk, you sound like you've been hurt? Who hurt you, Ray? Who hurt you?
They said in the chat.
I mean, one thing about it is you can't dispute what I'm saying, because as soon as I say it, every man on the panel starts shaking their head, because we all know women like that. Every single person in here knows that. The difference is men know how to say, yeah, you have a point. Women here, they feel some type of way about it. It's not that it's not true. It's just that it feels weird to hear it, because you know why? They're accustomed to a bunch of people telling them a bunch of lies because they want to have sex with them. That's just what it is. Everybody's lying to women from the time that they're born. You get the Princess and the Frog. You got Snow White. From the time they come out of the vagina, people start lying to them immediately. Then you got a whole bunch of advertisers on TV, R&B songs. We all know about the 90s R&B songs. It wasn't nothing but a bunch of Keith Sweats begging and pleading. You wrong no matter what you did, I'm right. Their entire existence consists of people telling them lies. Now, don't go to their friend's house when they're around their friends. The lies rain from heaven and above, and they never stop. All they do is lie. Everybody in a woman's life is lying to them, from the Princess and the Frog to hard dick men trying to have sex. Everybody's lying to them. So I can't really blame them for feeling the way they feel. It's because they've never been told the truth before. And so when somebody finally does tell them the truth, they're not willing to receive it. That's just the bottom line. If more men aggressively told women the truth, like I did, it'd be a whole lot less of this. We'll get more things. We got to stop giving women this type of power.
I'll say this: men don't network enough to do that, unfortunately. And the ones when we do it, we get shut up, we get canceled, all the other extra stuff. And you're right. And so here's the thing, though. Since I was a kid, you guys hear me?
Yeah, we get you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I held myself accountable for my actions. My mother and my father held them accountable, right? So I blame anybody makes a certain action, unless you're controlled by a parasite or turned to a zombie, you are accountable for your actions. If you did not do the research and just get the feel-good Kool-Aid, that's on you. So yes, you are to blame, because we don't make excuses for men when we do that. Okay, then. So that's what they said. Just about every female professional, dating coach or specialist, they swallow their pride and they tell the men, it's like, hey, you gotta treat a lot of us like kids. I'm like, really? And then I had to learn that when I got older. I'm like, no, they're like kids in adult bodies. It's like, because why do you think they avoid accountability? We hold kids more accountable than we hold grown women. That's embarrassing. You understand? It's got to stop. If you did this action, it's on you. Yes, somebody could have influenced and inspired, but it's on you. At the end of the day, we have a choice. Now, I'm not host, Mr. AK on Fire. Can I go back to something I want to elaborate on?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. So as far as the whole dating down and marrying, I take away half. That's extreme. They don't have to date down. But what I'm seeing though is a lot of these ladies that do leave marriage for what I might respect is not a good reason. They're complaining because they don't want to, and they want making more. They won't make more. Keep men better than, and the better men don't tend to want to entertain that, especially if he left them for a bad reason. If it's a good reason, a lot of them like, yeah, okay, your husband was a piece of crap, definitely. But a lot of them just leaving like to have infinite respawns. It's causing an issue because a lot of these women are not getting results they believe and fantasize they can get. So that's what I meant about that, because if they leave a man for bad reason and they're already in high up in social and economic status, they already have less options they're willing to deal with. They don't want no man usually lower than usually, right? They want a man with just as much or above. And those men have options, they exercise them. And it's like, why should he have to exercise them with you if you're going to leave him for a bad reason possible? Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay. Rico, get in here real quick, and then I'm going. We're gonna go to our next segment, but I want to bring up some a point that echoes your Ray sentiment. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on why don't we teach? I mean, because it's okay if we're going to teach women to be cautious and to prepare for the pitfalls of marriage. That's fine, but I think we should do the same thing with men, but with young boys. But if we did that with young boys, I think many people would see that as problematic.
They see it as problematic because the boys would opt out. They would opt out. If they actually prepared boys or young men for what they are likely to face in marriage, they would opt out. I mean, if I was told what marriage is really like, if I was showed that anywhere, because I saw it in life. Mm-hmm. You see stuff, but it don't jive with what you see on TV and the movies. And so, you're getting conflicting messages. That doesn't jive with what you talk about in school or what the teachers talked about or any, all this stuff don't align. So I believed in that institution for a long time. I definitely wanted to get married before I even graduated high school. Probably in junior high school, I wanted to get married, but it didn't. I never married though.
And
but we talked about a lot of stuff, and so I want to say, I definitely had instances where, like early on in my, I was probably barely 20, mm-hmm. and dealing with this girl named Kim, and I broke up with her. We had got an apartment together and everything. I broke up. I left the apartment, and then a month later, she told me she was pregnant, and so I went back, and then I was with her for a couple months, and then I had to call my cousin Tracy because when she said she was due, I ain't know too much about anything. I still don't, but. Anyway, my cousin was like, "Hey, the due date don't work out, cuz. That due date don't work out." And then so Kim, being faced with the heat, Tracy was ride or die. Being faced with the heat, she told the truth. She said she went and got pregnant by the dude that was cutting her son's hair. That was my first, almost step. She went and got pregnant by the barber, so she could tell me she was pregnant. And almost got right off the break.
I want to say to Ray's point about women being emotional shoppers, right? And I'm obviously recalling this off the top of the head. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was things like 15 years ago. ING partnered up with Xavier University, which is an HBCU in New Orleans. And they were studying the shopping habits of women, and I think the numbers were, I think it was like 56% of Black women said they would shop whether it was a good economy or bad economy. It didn't matter, and roughly the same numbers said that they shop to make themselves feel better, for emotional. So to your point, when you were talking that, it made me think of that. Now I want to go into our final segment before we do our closeout, and I do want to talk about surrogacy and the fact that you have some men that are actually looking for surrogate mothers. But first, let me go ahead and play this video. And this is 4 minutes, but I'll keep it short.
This recent study that we were talking about by a University of Houston professor, which has shed some light on the way women around the world, including here in Houston, think about marriage.
The findings, more and more women are actually choosing not to get married. They're choosing this. And I sat down with two experts to talk about what that means and some pros and cons to this pretty big life decision.
This is something that we heard about basically all over the world, is that women were starting to opt out of marriage.
Dinah Hannaford is Associate Professor of Anthropology at the University of Houston. She and her colleagues researched why women around the world were not choosing marriage.
You get women who have children who get divorced or become widows and are like, you know, I'm done with the husband part of my life and I don't really need that again. I'm so happy and fulfilled being a mother, right? Or women in Southern Africa who decide that being a mother is definitely a life goal. Being married, you know, not so much.
What about here in Houston? What are the trends?
I mean, Houston is such an international city that the trends that we see all over the world, we definitely see in Houston too. And I think more and more people are waiting longer to get married. We see that everywhere, including in the US. The age of first marriage is so much later, and the number of women who stay single forever is much higher here too than it's ever been.
Hannaford believes it's due to more career opportunities for women, but also finding a partner that supports a woman's independence.
That's you, Aaron.
Offering me at home. Are
Talking
you
about they
another
taking our
to clean up
jobs.
and put in the dishes, or are you a helper who's really going to be fully a present partner?
Women are also choosing to stay with their own family rather than marry into another family.
Women are realizing that they can make communities of women that really practically are the basis of their whole lives. Women are less likely to settle anymore.
So what does this mean for women financially?
You have women who stay single and have no kids. They're getting wealthier.
Financial advisor Richard Rosso says today it costs $310,000 to raise a child up to the age of 17.
$310,000.
Research shows 44% of Americans 18 to 49 years old are never going to have kids.
Overall, you're seeing that women, especially single who have careers, and
How much it costs to raise a wife?
an average of about $65,000 in wealth compared to single men at $57,000. That's a Federal Reserve study.
But overall, married couples do tend to be richer.
If you're an unpartnered adult, you don't fare as well when it comes to median earnings across the board. The overall global population is getting older because we don't want children, and that's not good from an economic perspective as you move forward.
That's not good from an economic perspective as you move forward. To that, I say amen. Because people don't realize it, but we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. You have a $2 trillion student loan debt, of which women own 2/3, and black women have the majority of student loan debt. You have women that are being evicted from their homes. You have a high inflation rate, and Kevin Samuels used to talk about how winter is coming, but no one is talking about the demographic winter, because demographically the population is plummeting, right? I mean, when you look over in I'm not sure if it was the Netherlands or it was Denmark or one of those Scandinavian countries, where they're literally begging men to have children. Right. In Japan, where you have the herbivore men, or what they call the grass eaters, the guys who have they've eschewed masculine principles, they're begging these guys and paying these guys to have children. They get given couples like $600 a month to have kids. So the one thing I'll say I noticed in watching this video is that, when we talk about women not having children, the tone is always like soft, lighthearted, almost granting women permission or encouraging women to be single. But when they talk about men being single, it's always stark. It's always like this cautionary tone. So I notice the difference. And so, you have, in a video, she mentioned that when women are no longer singing to be married as a life goal, they just want to be mothers. Because they have more career opportunities. And so they only need men for their genetic material, such as sperm or supplemental income in the form of like child support. Right. And so I just feel that that when you look at the fact that a lot of women are opting out, they don't want to date down, because I mean, these women some of them are doing great. I mean, they have master's degrees, they have PhDs, they're making six-figure a year jobs, and they don't want to date down. They don't want to settle. And I don't think anyone should force them to settle. If that's what their preference is, that's what their preference is. And so what you have is you have a lot of guys now who are either opting to go overseas, right? Like Aaron, you mentioned that you want to have more than a woman, right? So obviously when you go overseas, you can make $40,000 in the US. When you go overseas, man, you balling, right? You balling out of control. But then you have the other guys, right? You have the guys who are, and it didn't mention that in the video, but there are some guys who were actually looking to use surrogate mothers as a way to bypass the baby mama drama and to bypass the legal and financial implications of like family law. So Ray, I want to start with you. What are your thoughts on those men who are looking to utilize surrogate mothers or marry women overseas as a way to avoid the toxic anti-man, anti-father, anti-husband culture that exists here in the U.S.?
When you look right past the surface of potentially being a surrogate father, I looked into being a surrogate father after I came back from Afghanistan as a contractor. And I mean, I went real deep into it. I'm actually it's still not out of the question at this point, because what happens if you're a surrogate father, what happens is of course you find a woman that wants to do it. You're probably gonna find an attractive woman to do it. You want your seed to look good. You're supposed to pay her half or whatever the agreement is, which is quite oftentimes half to get pregnant, and then the other half, after the baby comes out. Mm-hmm. And you have these court documented paperwork that says that she has no rights on the child. Now, this goes back to the point of when I say you take the power away from women, everything is better. Stopping them from voting, allowing them to have opinions and decisions. When you take the power away from them, then it makes things fair. Because if you take the power away from her and then give it to the father, if that woman decides that she has an emotional attachment to that kid, 9 out of 10, that father's not going to say, no, we had an agreement. No. If I'm a single father, if I'm a single man and I pay for a girl to have a kid, when that baby comes out, if she has an attachment to that kid and me or whatnot, if she wants to have her baby, I will let her have a baby, saying she doesn't have any legal rights to the kid. She can't put child support on me. There's nothing that she can do with the kid saying that legally she has no rights. I'll be fair, because I do believe that men are single fathers and they have control of the children. They will be fair with the mothers. They will allow the mothers to see the children. It will be very fair. There will be no court custody of child support cases. It wouldn't be anything like that. I think this goes back to what I say. You allow the men to have the power. You strip the women of all power. The men will automatically dictate fair fight. For the children will benefit. Mm-hmm. The mother would benefit. And the father will benefit. It only makes sense. How many fathers would you really say, honestly, if they had the power of the children, would really be unfair and vindictive over the mother? How many fathers do you really think would do that on an honest level? So it makes sense. And if it costs me $40,000 to do it, I guess that's worth it, because everybody wins there. I thought about this for a long time. I went into a lot of research with this, trying to find out about having a surrogate mother. And it would be more beneficial as long as when you take the government out and you don't give her the leverage to say, this is my kid. You see your kid when I want you to see him. I'm going to charge you more child support. When you take that leverage away from women, all they do is submit. As long as you take away the power from women, they act right. And then everything goes back to normal. When we allow them to have rights, opinions, vote, think for themselves, it sounds bad, but once that happens, look at any society. It gets worse and worse and worse. It
does. Huh? It does sound bad. It sounds as though you're saying that some of them may make the argument that you're actually looking for a slave man, or so again. How many people will co-sign? Anybody else on this panel would you consider using? Would you consider using Aaron? Would you consider using a surrogate?
So here's the thing, right? And I'm gonna be transparent with you guys. I've been broke. Oh damn. My bad. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been broke before, right? So I went online and Googled a way to make some money. And fellas, in every major city, there's like a male milking bank where you can go and it'll give you a magazine and you can go handle your business, in a little room. They take your seed and they auction it off to these modern women, right? And no one called me a deadbeat when I went in there. No one said I'm being irresponsible and all that. I'm literally, milking in a cup for how much it was paying me? $80? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
and I literally did the math. I'm like, damn, I can do this like 3.
So they're gonna pay you $80 and they're gonna charge women several $1,000s.
Perfectly legal. A lot of lesbian couples, do it. A lot of successful women that don't want to marry a man, they do it. And the crazy thing is, they even have requirements. They said I had to be college educated. I had to, they had like a list. You can't just go in there and say, yo, I'm gonna go in this cup. They screen you and everything. So my thing is, nobody judged me when I was going to do that. The only reason I never went through with it, because I couldn't live with the fact that I have kids out here that I don't know about, that I couldn't, literally, my conscience couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But what was disturbing to me was how idiotic and childish and just irresponsible it is for a woman to get a random man's seed. You never met this man. You don't know what genetic issues he has or whatever. Pay thousands of dollars for it. It is even women that are donating their eggs now. This girl I went to high school with, she's a single mom, 2 baby dads. Now she's a doula. And then her being a doula, you're like, you know what? I want to give more women the blessing of having children. I'm going to give my eggs away.
Yeah, what is a doula?
A doula is a woman that kind of supports a pregnant woman during her pregnancy, rub her belly and, give her little massages and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a midwife a little bit.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is you got women that are selling their eggs for $5,000. You got women that are buying semen for thousands of dollars. But when I want to go to the Dominican Republic and find a girl that her only options are either me or a moto concho who makes $20 a day, and I want her to take care, she's going to know who her father is. She'll know who the father is. That child is going to see his real biological father on a regular basis. I get judged for that. But you got women that are donating their eggs for profit. They're profiting out of. They're profiting this. I'm not making no profit for having no kid in DR.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much money is that going to make me to have a kid in DR? But you got women that are paying thousands and making thousands to feed into this. So that's why I feel like if a man wants to go overseas and have a kid or do like a Nick Cannon situation and all the women are with it, what is the difference between that and a woman that's going to a sperm bank and picking a random specimen of a guy's jizz, putting it in there and having a baby and never knowing who that dad is? What is the difference?
Well, I want to say this, because the way you came across just now, you sounded real selfish, right? And that's what a lot of sisters were saying about men. Because I don't know if you realize it, but there was a shortage of black sperm donors. And so, are you familiar with that, Aaron?
Yeah. That's why they was the $80 was a bonus. It really was $60, but because I was African American, it was paying me more.
Yeah, well, they were pretty angry because they felt that black men were being selfish for not donating their sperm, and so one of the women was forced to have a half Chinese baby, and so she loved her baby, but she was like, I would have preferred it to be an African American. And then you have the case where you have I don't know how true this is, but there were a couple and they were dating, and they turned out to be brother and sister because of a situation like that. It's kind of gross, but I don't know if Barracuda, you laughing? You're familiar with this?
So I've heard of it, but my thing is you damn right would be selfish with our seed. You damn right. Be selfish with your seed, brothers, because they are selfish with themselves. Be selfish. That is your seed. And our conscience, in my perspective, which could be wrong, I believe a lot of men do not want to have. They've seen how wild these women are, sleep with the same men. They don't want to have other kids out here exposed. So just think if your legacy out here wandering around, being a statistic to a single mother or someone who's not adequate. You know what? It's hard to live with yourself. And plus, I think a lot of black men thought they'd be held up for child support somehow. But look, I'll say this. So as far as surrogate, I'm learning about it. I mean, it makes sense. And as far as what Mr. Ray was saying, I believe he's extreme. But I think just to be extreme like that is not good, because I understand that the ladies are extreme and they're biased, sir. I understand they are. It's cool to fight fire with fire. They always want us to be neutral. But I'll say this. I think women should have rights and stuff like that. But I think they should, since they show they want this, allow the man to have the majority power, because they tend to want that. If you don't have it, you're not man enough. Make up your mind. You know, so I think they should be considered. Like, yes, the woman's out looking in. Give me inspiration. Give me clues. But you trust me, make the final decision. But sorry.
Let me ask a question. I want to ask a few questions. In the countries that they have these rights, all right, what is the condition of relationships in these countries, and the ones that they don't have these rights? What are the conditions of marriage or relationship?
Okay, so look. So I see where you're getting. So yes, the too much freedom it leads to destruction, like I said before. And you're right. Hey, yes, if the country that has most freedom, it's bad. Less freedom, the things are good. Well, what I'm saying is there can be a balance, but not an even balance. No, there needs to be more majority power to the man, because women have shown, regardless how much power they get, they always want a man who's better than them. They don't want to admit it because they want to feel inadequate. So I believe saying no opinions, no this, that I believe that's extreme. Certain opinions should be valued, because there are a man, we're the leaders, but there are different insights and intuitions that women can definitely contribute. But at the same time, I do believe, as far as majority power, I think I entrust it to the men, because the men have proved. So I wouldn't say no rights, no opinions, because that I think that's extreme, and that would be disingenuous.
But I also, if I may interject, I also think it hurts society more when you have women that are trying to fulfill male roles, because I am somebody that was raised by an independent woman. My grandmother is college educated. She never was in a long-term relationship the whole time raising me. And what I really noticed from that is like, my grandma never came to my football games. She never had time to come back to school night. And yes, even though she did successfully raise me, I grew up so never hearing my grandma, saying she loved me and stuff like that, because she was so busy being the mom and the dad. And that's the problem with when women start fulfilling these roles, because a lot of men, if they had that mother being that nurturer, being those things, they won't grow up with a lot of the issues they have now. A lot of men grew up with emotionally unavailable moms because they was working all the time. And I understand a double-edged sword. Like, okay, if the man leaves, what's she supposed to do? I understand that, but that's not majority of women no more. Majority of women don't leave. You're making more money.
Yeah, most men don't leave. Most men get kicked out of the nest.
Yeah. Let me get to that though. So that's the thing is they love to paint that. I know what you were saying, sir. I'm not saying that you were disingenuous, but they love to paint that narrative. The man leaves, you might stay because the kids. This woman that leave, they're fickle. They leave. So they need. I wish the narrative. And as far as black men being deadbeat fathers, the stats have shown we are not. So it's the information shows who the issue is. And as far as power, like I said, I get what you guys are saying. But there are certain jobs and careers like stay at home that aren't too bad, and that ladies can be at peace. No, hear me out. This is why. Okay, let's put it like this: we know that being the extreme, it would work, right? But we're not going to get that. So let's go off of reality of what we can possibly get. We know we're looking at what women say they want and how society doesn't hold them accountable because they're majority of consumers and they have a womb and there can be less men than women. Because they have a womb, you can make a whole army. It is what it is. So the society is going to keep on catering to them to men network and spend more money, even though because we know how to make more, and come together and say, hey, enough is enough. Which this is why these spaces are getting bigger, because they're listening to these conversations. They're wanting us to clean up their mess. That is what it is. So as far as I don't want to go off a tangent in respect to the host. I apologize.
No.
But I think the extreme is gonna get a hate. It's gonna get you canceled. It's not gonna work. The leveling and instructing the woman, say, hey, listen, look at the results of this lady out here who had this mentality. And I know a lot of them was like, it's not gonna happen to me because they live for right here, right now. But I'll just be like, look, man, look at the results. These women, look at the stats, look at the data. Forget that gray area data. Look at the whole majority of what women are going through. Look at the women complaining they can't find a good man. They're getting the men they deserve because they're not improving their personality, letting their job take away their creativity. They're supposed to be more creative gender. But now the folks, I got to work in the morning. I got to work. There's no fun. There's no getting to know what shoot. You'll be lucky to ask the favorite color. It's like work is your new man. I'm like, how do you allow men, a minority of men, to manipulate you of something they created, say work, and become a slave for it? How about that?
Hey.
But you would rather serve that job that can easily replace you than a man who would mourn your death. And men, we're very giving. Because when men are selfish, let's compare it to females. Oh, I don't want to compare. Let's compare it. It's like when they project what they do. And enough is there's too much data that has came out in these past few years. Mm-hmm. They're either going to be accountable or the best and brightest men are gone. And the men that are fortunate, like Mr. AK, married to a great woman, got things going on. We can envy that, but the probability is like looking to a needle to the haystack. And ladies,
probability, yeah,
right.
It's like a needle in a haystack. Right. It is what it is. They don't. A lot of them don't hold each other accountable until now because they realize they're losing their provision and they are consumers. But it's like it's almost too late. It's like it's ingrained in them.
Right. Let me bring in Rico and get his thoughts on this, and then afterwards, I want to go into our closing arguments. Our closing statements. Rico, get in here and chime in. Give us your thoughts.
Sorry about that.
No
worries. A lot of stuff from everybody. I'm buried under a lot of stuff, man. Listen, let me say this, man. We're gonna keep women having rights because we just don't want to turn that back. Hold on. Let me just. I've been being nice today, man. I've been being real nice today. I know everybody got to know I've been being nice. Listen, I'm fighting with the fellas. I'm for the fellas. Y'all, the women, they can have their rights. But if they not doing what's in our interest, as I said earlier, we're not going to continue to do what's in your best interest. Mm-hmm. The ironic thing about all this sperm bank stuff is that women will go to a sperm bank and pay for sperm so that they can have a baby without the input of a man. Mm-hmm. And so they get this baby. They don't care nothing about the fact that the baby ain't gonna have a daddy. They don't care nothing about the baby, but they swear they so nurturing. But you right there don't care about the baby too much, right? Then if she get pregnant by me, she want all my money. But she ain't get no money from that sperm at the sperm bank. It's just so weird. And then they're doing all of this just so they won't have to be nice to a person who cares about them. That's what it's all about. They just don't want to be to a person that cares. Because ain't no man rolling out from somebody who's nice to him. So they do all of that. So it's like, yeah, you got your rights or whatever, but we see what you're doing. We no longer gonna act like we don't see what you're doing. I ain't for all the taking their rights, but like I say, man, you do something. What they say, you gotta do the crime, you gotta do the time, right? Well, brothers open their eyes now. You know, they not gonna continue to go for that stuff. and it's again, it's just all about not wanting to, quote unquote, have to be nice to men, not wanting to have to pull your weight in a relationship. A brother got to pull a lot of weight in a relationship, like always on the line. If your woman dress certain way, your life on the line. Your woman go out here burning credit cards up, you got to pay for it. You like brothers got to do a lot of stuff.
But Rico.
This, you know, I don't see relationships as
Rico. Let me ask you this question. You can't hear me?
Oh, you was talking.
You can't hear me? You can hear me, right?
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you now.
Okay. So, but we have a sister who says that, you know, women who got money, they're not thinking about your money. Like, why do you keep saying they're not thinking about your money? Women who have
lies.
Lies.
Well, women with money ain't thinking about my money. So these women actually want to pay for dinner.
Again, this goes back to what I said.
They want to pay for vacations.
Listen, this is what I.
This is about money. Why they always ask why they got these salary requirements before you get in a relationship.
This is why you shouldn't listen to them. Well, this is why we got to stop listening to what they say. It's a waste of time, bro. We all know this is cap, but we really take into consideration their opinion for some reason. We know that this is a lie. They don't operate off of truth. They operate off of feel. And whenever you got a group of people that operate off of feel, when you have a group of people that operates off of feel, how can you give them power to think? These are the lies that we've been told since we were kids. Now the man that she dates is not like that. This is why we need to stop listening. Why are we giving them any validity in what they say? They just talk.
You can see their true colors, bro.
It's just a display of a bunch of lies. And every time one says one, we all heard it before. It's the same thing that the last 50 said to us. We all on this panel know that that's a lie. But we'll continue to say that. Why do we listen to them?
I mean, you gotta see their true colors. You can't just
minority,
right?
We listen to them because we gave them the right to vote. That's why we got to listen.
Exactly.
Because
this man is this man right here needs to run for Congress. I'll vote for this guy. This guy has a point.
Go ahead, Barracuda, real quick, and then we go to closing.
Because the minority of men run the game and said we need to listen to them, otherwise the consequences. Now, being mindful and being thoughtful. Like I said, their intuition is on point, but a lot of times since they've been told to embrace masculinity, they lose intuition. So they're going off of feelings that are not based off of facts. And I mean, I get what you're saying, right? But like I said, I get what you're saying, but the more like probable fact that it's not going to happen that way, that is why I'm like, yeah. And plus, it's just, I mean, bro, once you hear it enough, it's easy to counter it. I'm the type to debate or argue with women, and by the end of it, they agree with me. And if I make a mistake and go and say, like, I convinced a woman, alpha women don't exist, right? I convinced her that. Well, 10 minutes later,
what women don't exist? What women?
Yes, alpha, whatever.
Alpha.
Alpha?
Yes, alpha. 10 minutes later, I accidentally called her that, right? With my same logic, she said, you cannot call me that based off of what you said. That's when you know you're getting through to somebody. So if you can take time, be patient, and see a woman. Patient. Look, I know, but I know. This
has been going on for decades, bro.
Listen, hear me out. I'm trying to be patient with one that is listen. If she's not gonna listen, open me wrong, cut it off. But if she can, you can teach, because most women want a man who can teach them something. They don't want to admit it because they want to feel inadequate. But they like this. With that song, they got all the questions, we got all the answers. I know, bro. I know it's a beat a dead horse, but for the few that actually can reciprocate and listen to a man's leadership, I will talk to him.
So you're talking about a 1 out of 100, or 1 out of 200, 1 out of 5. What are you talking about? That's a small percentage of
we got it. It's been great. We got to go to our closing. I will just say this. I want to echo what our sister in the chat, Miss Kiwi, said. She said if you can't hear me. Can you hear me? I don't know what is going on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think there's something going on.
Women put roots on us. Women put roots on us.
Give me a second. Y'all keep going.
Section. She did that. That's Peach in the comment section. She did that.
They are good hackers. They only hack Facebooks.
Yeah. Peach over there doing roots on us.
She did it.
Do roots to the solution, Peach. What's playing solution?
They're saying they can hear me in the chat. So so I don't know. You can't hear me, but they can hear me in the chat.
We can hear you now.
Okay.
Going in and out. Like you out right now.
Yeah. So I will say this. I want to go ahead and start with our closing statements. Let's try to keep them under 90 seconds, right? 90 seconds from right to left. Barracuda. And try to stay within 90 seconds. We want to wrap this up. What I want you to do is let's try to end on a positive note. And
you went out again, AK.
Okay,
that's Peach. That's Peach Doctor.
Yeah.
Peach Doctor.
Yeah. So let's end on a positive note. I'll text it. Closing thoughts. Go ahead. Let me see.
All right. So message for people, but particularly ladies, plan your future. You know, you've been in a society where now it's like you have a choice to work, or you more likely need to work. So it's like now, since you're in situations like, man, plan your future better, research, man. Don't be lazy. Don't be extreme. Men practice Johnson control. Women practice extreme control, because both can blind your judgments when it comes to decisions. You do this, you see where you are, and go from there. You guys, I need 10 subscribers. King Barracuda's YouTube. You can type in this Cerebral Inquirer, subscribe so I can go live, and I can support channels like this, because I am a support person. That's what I do.
Good deal. Aaron, talk to me. Aaron, can you hear?
AK.
Yeah, Aaron, go ahead.
AK.
Yeah. Go ahead, Aaron.
What were you saying?
I was saying, Aaron, go ahead.
All right, so with me, I'm not really going to make this closing statement towards the women, because we already realized that they don't listen and they're going to do what they're going to do anyway. So I'm going to point this to the men that be simping, that are allowing them to do this. If you're a man and you subscribe to woman's OnlyFans, you're a part of the problem. If you are a man that deals with a woman, you know, putting you down and, you know, taking away your masculinity, you're part of the problem. So I feel like the only thing that can really fix the problem now is if men start focusing more on becoming more masculine, because we haven't had a major war or anything that needed masculine men. So right now in the world right now, there's no need for masculine men. See, back during World War I, World War II, or Civil War, all this stuff like that, bro, men were needed. So we need more manospheres like this, where men get together and sharpen iron. We need to, you know, influence men to stop simping, stop going in these girls, because that just feeds into the problem. They're going to keep doing this as long as there's men that's going to let them. But once men stop letting them get away with this stuff, then a lot of these problems just go away. Because to be honest with you guys, I don't deal with this stuff no more, because I'm choosing not to deal with it. So men, we need to hunker down. We need to decide what we're going to deal with, what we're not going to deal with, and stop simping. That's pretty much it for me.
Right. Ray, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Listen, you want positivity, man. I'm a more realistic person, and realistically speaking, it's over. It's no. Listen. This is sad. This is more on a sad note. Our women they're a waste, and it's over for them. You listen. If men, this is what I say. If men understood, I travel for work. If these men understood what was over the waters, if they really knew what was happening over those waters with these women, man, unfortunately, man, it's a reason why these women are mad about these passport bros. It's not a joke, man. If I will preach this until I die. The women over there, man, they for real. They're not playing any games at all, and they're very open with letting you know if they're not American women. Let them be strong. Let them have opinions and vote. Have opinions. Let them continue with this. I don't take no shit, and I'm the cut table. Let them do it. Let them have it. So when you go, you don't even have to go across the waters. Right downstairs in Mexico, they waiting for your black ass, bro. And bad waiting for you to come over there. Believe that. So I say this is the best thing I say. I'm not preaching to women because we know that they could give a damn. They don't give a damn about what we talking about. Leave them here. Go downstairs to Mexico. Guadalajara, Tierra, all them small towns. Bro, in 30 minutes, your black ass will come back with a bad senorita and she doing what you say. It ain't gonna be no plane. What I suggest, leave them here to their own devices. Let them die by themselves. Make it good for your life.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
You
kind of harsh, man.
Hey, that's what they want.
Hey,
that's what they ask for.
First you telling us about women professing about how obedient they are, and
we get closer to the screen. You've been begging and pleading. Listen, how long have we been begging and pleading? For years, decades. We have been begging and pleading for decades. The more we beg and plead, the stronger they get. Cool. I just came to
That's the point.
The more you beg and plead, one thing I found out about women is the badder you want to have sex with them, the more desperate you show, the less they want to have sex with you. The more that you push for something, the less they want to do it. Now, if you say, you know what, I ain't tripping, we don't have to have sex. Guess what? Should be taking it from you in 30 minutes. So, hey, listen, stop this argument. Let them have their fruit. Go downstairs, bro. Downstairs, right down in Mexico. They got some nice cities down there. Guadalajara, they're waiting for dark black. They don't hear me. They don't hear me, bro.
We know, bro. We know.
Hey, we hear you.
I don't think I think y'all might know, but I don't think the average brother for real know. They think it's a fairy tale. This ain't no fairy tale, bro. That'll make you change your mind about marriage and everything. It did for me.
I'm telling you, there are.
That's what I got to say. I'm
gonna go to you. I'm gonna go to you, Rico. But I'm just saying there's some sisters that are saying that, hey, what the women can give you in Guadalajara, women here can give you the same thing if you just do right. You know what I mean? But go ahead, Rico. Rico, give me your closing. Give me your closing.
To what you just said, AK, stop the cap. To them, because they capping. Because they maybe can, some of them maybe can, but the question is, will you do it? And yes, it has been over for us for a long time. Ever since since the brother came out with "I cook your food, would I pay your rent? I cook your food, buy your clothes." Mm-hmm. I bring your dinner to you as soon as I get home from work. Mm-hmm. It's been over for us since then. So and look, I tried that. You know what? You know what I got in response? She still said I was too controlling.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to tell her what to eat and how to dress. I tried that.
Guadalajara, bro.
Masculine man.
Yeah.
Guadalajara.
Right. That's why I said let them. I'm not for like suspending their rights. I'm for catching them flights.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what they want to do. We need to see that true color. If that's how they feel. Like, I don't want to deal with somebody that don't care about me, and I don't want to force them to care about me by stripping them of their rights. No. If that's what you want to do it.
Yeah.
I'll be by myself until I find somebody that wants to play.
Hey, I will say this. I think everybody made great points tonight. I mean, you can't hear me?
Focus on Aaron.
Okay,
Well,
okay, yeah, but
there you go.
They can hear me. They can hear me, so it's cool. The audience can hear me. So I'll say this: everybody made great points tonight, but I don't think we want to take hope away from the sisters. But at the same time, they do need to hear the frustration that's coming from men, because I think sometimes when we talk, they don't really listen. I think they sometimes they may invalidate our concerns. And so I wanted to have a forum today where brothers can voice their concerns, but the sisters are going to get a chance. So hopefully next week at the same time, we'll have the sisters who will give their rebuttal or their rejoinder. And it should make for an interesting conversation. I think something has to change. We have to learn that we are better together. I believe that we are better together. I believe that
you just zoom in on Ray's face. Hold
on a second. I think we are better together. I think when couples, especially black couples, when black couples get together. We save money. It's more expensive to be single than it is to be married. I think maintaining one household is better than two separate people maintaining two different households. I think when we get married, we're more likely to buy a home. We have stabilized communities. The kids do much better, and we afford our children more opportunities. So I don't know. I tend to try to be optimistic, and I'm going to try to be positive. But again, I think all points were well stated and are well taken. For those of you, we want to thank those of you who are left in the audience. Please be sure to click that like, subscribe, and share button. And until next time, as always, remember to keep an open mind, think for yourself, and stay lit. AK on fire.
Follow y'all. Yo, how do you drop y'all's YouTube links?
Babe, when I saw you for the first time, I knew we were destined to meet.
Hey man, let me register. Let me like your subscribe to your channel. It's King Barracuda. You just type in the cerebral inquiry.
Trying to find something to say.
Type it in, I'll pop up.
Whatever I say needs to be right to you.
Hey fellas, the mic's still